Hello everyone, I'm Sophie and I'm currently at Kechara Forest Retreat, Bentong, Malaysia. Today I'll be reading from this book, Tales My Lama Told Me. This is by Pastor David Lai, and the stories within are told by our Guru, His Eminence, the 25th Sam Tuku Rinpoche. Today there's a change of scenery. Behind me is the view from a room in Manjusri Hill, the Manjusri Guest House. Right, so today I'll be reading from chapter 9, Tsongkhapa. It's a continuation from my previous sharing, and it's page 75. So let me go to a picture to share with you before I continue on. Here you go. This is a picture of Lama Tsongkhapa, which is at Kechara Forest Retreat, Wisdom Hall. So page 75. At the tender age of 6, Tsongkhapa himself wished to become a monk and take on full ordination. With the wish to take full ordination, he took his novice vows from the great enlightened master, the four Galwa Karmapa Rope Doje. To cut a long story short, he performed innumerable actions in his life to spread the Dharma. Among them were holding his vows, meditating, studying the Sutra and Tantra teachings, and teaching the Dharma. The great Tsongkhapa studied under 50 spiritual masters of all the three existing traditions of Buddhism at that time, namely the Shakya, Kagyu, and Nyingma schools. Tsongkhapa had one particularly great Nyingma master named Lama Umapa. This master could already perceive clear and direct visions of Buddha Manjusri, which also meant that he had already realized emptiness. So when Tsongkhapa had certain questions and problems, he would ask this guru, the great Nyingma Lama, to speak to Manjusri on his behalf. Lama Umapa would pray to Manjusri, and Manjusri would then appear to the Lama and give him the answers to be conveyed to Tsongkhapa. In other words, the Lama became the intermediary between Tsongkhapa and Manjusri. Eventually, Manjusri told Tsongkhapa, "If you wish to see me and talk to me directly, which will expedite things, you should enter into retreat." Tsongkhapa took 7 of his main disciples into the mountains and went into a retreat for 7 years. In the 7 years, he performed 3.5 million prostrations to the 35 confessional Buddhas and 3.5 million recitations of the 35 confessional Buddha Sutra to purify his karma. He also offered over 10 million mandala offerings. Mandala are a symbolic offering of the universe which uses a special structure comprising a round base and 3 circular rings that are placed above it, which are each filled with precious items. The mandala offering practice involves reciting specific verses and filling each circular ring with the offering items, such as rice grains or precious stones, and forming a structure like a mountain or a pyramid. There is a lot of meaning to this ritual, and it collects a tremendous amount of merit for the practitioners. For many, this is one of the most central preliminary practices that practitioners would engage in before proceeding to more advanced practices. Tsongkhapa performed on his own over 10 million mandala offerings in 7 years. At that time, I don't think that they would have had a wonderful, beautiful copper mandala set that was smooth and beautiful like what some of us have now. He was so poor, he didn't even have a proper mandala set. So he would probably have used a large stone, which would have been too heavy to even lift up. He would have kept it on the ground, used smaller pebbles and rocks as offerings, visualizing them as jewels, and recited accompanying words and verses. When Tsongkhapa was in retreat, he was so absorbed in his practices that he barely noticed that the flesh on his hands became torn, bleeding, and scarred from making the mandala offerings. Even with such great difficulty, he never gave up, and he never complained. He was happy because he had joyous effort towards his practice. He continued to meditate on Manjushri, recite millions of Manjushri's mantra, and maintain pure concentration. J. Tsongkhapa was not like us. We recite mantras by just moving our mouths. Meanwhile, our mind is everywhere but on the meditation cushion. Our retreats have very little benefit due to our lack of concentration. J. Tsongkhapa completed the retreat at the end of the 7th year. By then, he gained a full vision of the Buddha of wisdom, Manjushri, who manifested as a 16-year-old prince, smiling and holding a beautiful golden sword. His youthful body radiated orange light. The brilliance of this spectacle was likened to a polished mirror with the sun reflecting from it. Thus, he manifested his enlightenment. This is also how Manjushri's body is described in the scriptures, as beautiful, radiant, and smiling. From then on, Manjushri appeared many times to J. Tsongkhapa and gave him many teachings, initiations, and personal advice. At one time, Manjushri took his sword and placed the hilt to his heart, while placing the tip of the blade squarely on Tsongkhapa's heart. Then a stream of blessings flowed forth through the sword to J. Tsongkhapa's heart and eradicated the last traces of J. Tsongkhapa's ego clinging and grasping mind. Some of the disciples who were with him could perceive Manjushri depending on their realization. Some disciples could see traces of Manjushri's foot or sword, while others heard a celestial sound. However, there were only 2 disciples who were with J. Tsongkhapa who could see all of Manjushri directly. This was amongst the most famous recollection of J. Tsongkhapa's vision. Along with visions of Manjushri, he had visions of the 35 confessional Buddhas. He also had visions of what the Tibetans called the 6 ornaments and 3 jewels. This refers to the great Indian masters like Nagarjuna, Vasubandhu, Chandrakirti, and Chandragomin. J. Tsongkhapa also had numerous visions of the great masters, Atisha and Guru Rinpoche. Besides that, he had visions of other Buddhas, such as the 21 Taras, Vrajayogini, Kalachakra, and Yamantaka. He had complete visions of all these deities and yet remained very humble. He never spoke about his experiences except to his close disciples. Some of us see some light in our meditations and tell everybody, "Guess what? I saw some light in my meditations." However, we don't really know what the lights are and where the lights come from. We don't even know whether the lights are from the Buddha. If we see a little bit of light, we shout from the rooftops and make sure everybody knows what we saw. We tell everyone how we had a good dream last night and saw a Manjushri statue in our dreams. Some of us even run to our guru to advertise what we dreamt of and make sure everybody around us hears it. However, it may not be a real vision. It could be something sinister at work. When we see visions like that, they could be spirits manifesting the light or dream to trick you. You may think that it is wonderful when it is not. It could actually be harmful to you. After J. Tsongkhapa's great retreats, he composed over 18 volumes of incredible Dharma texts. These are huge volumes that range from sutra to tantra teachings. Most Western academics view J. Tsongkhapa as just a scholar or a philosopher. They usually fail to recognize him as a great yogi, a tantric practitioner, or even a great Mahasiddha. Actually, J. Tsongkhapa wrote more books and gave more teachings on sutra than on tantra. Despite all this, he never showed that he was a Mahasiddha, but chose instead to appear as a humble scholar. This was probably why many had the impression that he was just a simple scholar. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is currently giving the great Kalachakra initiation and teachings all around the world to many millions of students. The Kalachakra lineage was brought over from the Kagyu sect, where when J. Tsongkhapa himself received the Kalachakra initiation and practiced it intensely. He practiced and meditated, and the Kalachakra deity appeared to him directly in a vision. Then he instructed his disciple Kedrup Rinpoche to write a complete commentary and manual on how to practice Kalachakra. That is the very same text that His Holiness, the great 14th Dalai Lama, is now using to spread these teachings all over the world. That text was composed on the instructions of J. Tsongkhapa. It is the same for the Yamantaka Vrajayogini and Heruka Chakrasamvara commentaries and the expositions on emptiness. Everything was written in a way that retained the essential theme and explained in a concise manner. In that way, the great masters like J. Tsongkhapa did not make up teachings. They practiced, realized, and elaborated on the teachings for us. J. Tsongkhapa then made the teachings even clearer for us. While the root texts may originally be from the Buddha, Maitreya, or Manjushri, the commentaries we study today and use for our practice were composed by great masters like J. Tsongkhapa. We must also understand that these masters did not merely compose dry papers when they wrote these texts and commentaries. J. Tsongkhapa or Kedrup J did not write from acquired scholarliness or intellectual learning like academics. They wrote and composed from their own enlightened activities. When J. Tsongkhapa taught the Kalachakra or Manjushri practices, he already had visions of them, which meant he could perceive and talk to them directly. Only then could he compose these great texts for us. In fact, he would first speak directly to Manjushri, clarifying any points he was unsure of, and receive the enlightened blessings of Manjushri before he composed the text. Therefore, any text that was written by J. Tsongkhapa would have been especially blessed by Manjushri. Many of these teachings were spoken or taught by Manjushri directly to J. Tsongkhapa. It is said that understanding will come quicker to you when you study J. Tsongkhapa's text because of Manjushri's blessings. And that is the end of my sharing for today. And thank you for sharing your time with me. And before we end this, we will go to this for the completion dedication. And this I will do in English. May the precious body-mind, where it is not born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May the precious emptiness, where it is not born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May this merit, accumulated by myself and others, beneficially serve all sentient beings and the Buddha Dhamma, and especially may the essential teachings of the unerring Master Tsongkhapa become clear and enduring. In all my rebirths, may I not be parted from perfect gurus. Let me enjoy the abundance of the Dhamma, perfecting the qualities, stages, and paths. May I quickly attain the rank of Vajradhara Buddha. By this virtue, may I quickly realize Guru Buddhahood and transfer each sentient being into the enlightened state. May all conducive conditions arise and all obstacles be pacified in order to increase infinitely the doctrine of the spiritual king Tsongkhapa. By the merits of the 3 times of myself and others, may the doctrine of Lama Tsongkhapa blaze forever. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the paths of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. May the holy teachers have long lives. May the enlightened activities be fully displayed in the 10 directions, and may the brightness of the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa continuously dissipate the veil of darkness covering the beings of the three realms. In this land encircled by snow mountains, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig remain in this life until samsara's end. Whom grant me here and now appropriate attainments without exception. Grant increase of the entourage, teachings, and wealth, O mighty Shukden. Again, thank you for sharing your time with me, and please do join me to continue on with the chapter.